How did GTA Online change from a game where you're supposed to have fun with friends, robbing stores, doing heists, buying cars, to a game where everyone is toxic?
Guys, I think it's time we had another chat about the state of GTA Online, and more importantly, how the Oppressor Mk II is still ruining the game to this day.
I don't know how true this is because it's the internet, it's 2026, and half the things we see are now AI. But this Instagram post says, Rockstar admits flying vehicles ruined GTA Online.
The Oppressor is literally the worst thing Rockstar could have ever done for the franchise. While Grand Theft Auto Online has always had overpowered vehicles and chaotic moments, the Oppressor fundamentally changed how the game was played, and not in a good way. Before the Oppressor existed, Grand Theft Auto Online felt a lot different. Sure, there are griefers, there are jets flying around, tanks causing problems, and the occasional player trying to ruin everybody's day. And let's admit it, we've all been that guy. But most of these vehicles required some level of skill to use. If someone was dominating a lobby in a jet, chances are they spent time learning how to fly it. The same could be said for helicopters and other weaponized vehicles. The Oppressor changed all of that overnight. Suddenly, players had access to a flying motorcycle that could cross the country incredibly quickly, hover almost anywhere, and fire highly effective homing missiles. What made it so frustrating wasn't just that it was powerful, it was how easy it was to use. The player didn't need hundreds of hours of practice to become a threat. They could just be a loser and by the Oppressor. They could fly toward another player, lock on, press a button, and then move on to the next target. No skill, no finesse, nothing. As more and more players bought the vehicle, public lobbies started to feel completely different. Activities that used to be relatively enjoyable became frustrating. Delivering cargo, sourcing vehicles, running a business, or even just driving around Los Santos became a gamble because there was always a chance that an Oppressor user would just appear out of nowhere and destroy everything that you were doing. For grinders, this was especially painful. Many Grand Theft Auto Online businesses require significant time investments. Players would spend hours preparing missions, collecting cargo, and setting up sales only to have their work destroyed in a matter of seconds by some child that grabs his parents' credit card or some adult that just can't be bothered to get good at the game. The risk versus reward system that Rockstar seemed to be aiming for suddenly felt unfair because the Oppressor gave players such an overwhelming advantage. Another major issue was the impact it had on vehicle variety. Grand Theft Auto is supposed to be a game about cars. I mean, it's literally in the name. Yet after the Oppressor was released, many players found themselves ignoring entire garages full of vehicles because the Oppressor was simply just the fastest thing around. Not to mention, it was the most convenient way of travel. Why drive a supercar across the map when flying a bike can get you there faster? Why use a helicopter when the Oppressor is easier to land and harder to hit? Why bother experimenting with other vehicles when one option is clearly more efficient than almost everything else? Over time, the Oppressor became less of a choice and more of a requirement. Even some of us who hated the Oppressor ended up buying one because it was just that good for getting around, which fundamentally is the reason why most people ended up getting these things, not to mention they provided security. And let's face it, that's usually a sign that something isn't balanced correctly. When a vehicle becomes mandatory rather than optional, it starts limiting player freedom instead of expanding it in a game that's known for player autonomy. To Rockstar's credit, they eventually recognized some of the problems. The company introduced several nerfs over the years, reducing missile effectiveness and making the vehicle less dominant than it was before. These changes did help, but by that point, the Oppressor had already left its mark on Grand Theft Auto Online. The vehicle became a symbol of an era where convenience and power started to outweigh balance. Instead of encouraging creative gameplay and diverse vehicle choices, it pushed players towards using the same solution for almost every situation. Public lobbies became more hostile, grinding became more stressful, and many players felt forced into purchasing a vehicle they didn't even want. Now, to be fair, I don't think the Oppressor is solely responsible for every problem in Grand Theft Auto Online. The game was already moving in a more futuristic direction long before the bike has arrived. Weaponized vehicles, orbital cannons, and flying cars were already pushing Grand Theft Auto away from its grounded roots. However, if there's one vehicle that represents the shift better than anything else, it's the Oppressor. And years after its release, we're still debating whether it was the best vehicle Rockstar ever added or the worst. Personally, I think the answer is pretty clear. The Oppressor didn't just add a new way to play, it changed the entire experience for many players, including myself. And that's why so many of us feel like the Oppressor has ruined what Grand Theft Auto Online was. But hey, that marks the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm sorry I missed a week of uploading. If you didn't know, I went to the Drewski event and that did not go very well. But again, thank you for watching until the end of the video. You guys have been more than great. And yeah, until next time, see ya.